Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm the co-founder of Fashinnovation, Jordana Guimarães, and I'm really excited to be here with someone today that's really doing a lot for the industry with different solutions and technologies at CGS. His name is Paul Magel, and he is the president of applications. And I'm going to let actually you, Paul, introduce yourself a little bit to everyone watching.
Jordana, happy to be here with you today. Again, Paul Magel, I'm the president of the Application Solutions Group at CGS. I am responsible for our software solutions, and we cover supply chain really from concept through consumer, and really focus in the vertical of fashion, apparel, footwear, and accessories. And again, I've been with CGS 27 years, so I've been doing this for a little bit. I started at the ripe old age of 5, but it's been a little bit now.
Amazing. Well, you and your team recently launched your annual supply chain report, Trends and Technology Report for 2024, titled Steering Through the Straits. Can you tell me a little bit about the title of the report and the reasoning behind it? I have to say, by the way, I read it, the entire thing. It was fascinating to see so many things that are happening in the industry and what companies are prioritizing and so much more. But I'd love to hear a little bit about the title of that.
Yeah, there was a lot of tidbits in there, and I'm sure we'll talk about it as we get deeper into the discussion. But, again, I think steering through the straits, obviously it's a marketing term there. But, if you look at what steering through the straits means, it's just navigating through a very difficult path when you're going. And that's really, I think, where the industry is right now. Just navigating through everything from supply chain disruptions, what's going on from ESG and just changes in consumer habits and how they're buying, where they're buying from, what they're buying, price pressures. There's just been a tremendous amount of navigation that has to get done, let alone pandemic, shipping prices, Panama Canal going down. Recently we had the canal closed down because of the crash of the bridge in Baltimore. So I think navigating through the straits is a good topic. And I think those who figure out how to navigate through it and handle and react to disruption are the ones that can succeed going forward. And that's really what the study showed, what people are doing to mitigate risk in the supply chain, to handle disruptions to the supply chain, and then to be as efficient as possible in the supply chain. If I look across that whole report, again, this is our 9th year doing it, that's really where people are focusing on those 3 initiatives.
That's incredible. Actually, it's funny. I was just in Paris with a group of entrepreneurs and we met with a lot of C-suites of the leading brands there. And there was a lot of talk and a lot of hesitancy and like where things were going, specifically supply chain related, and ESG related, and just a lot of conversations around that. So that's really incredible that you've put all of that together into a report for the industry. I think that's great. And as you know, our community of Fashinnovation is a global ecosystem of C-suites, and where, from brands that are mid-tier enterprise, different sizes. And I read, the case studies that you had actually on various brands, so which was really interesting to see throughout, including Tommy Bahama, Ballin, Confetex, Headley. I'd love for you to let me know a little bit about this CGS Blue Cherry, and how, that use of that new software that you have developed with that, how did it go with those case studies and the brands? Just a little bit more about those.
Yeah, look, it's been really interesting. One, I'm just very proud of the community that we have. And again, you use the term community, and congratulations on what you've built. You've done a great job. I always use the term community as well. And it's important for us, for all of our customers, all of our ecosystem, to really work for the betterment of each other and doing what we put together. So as I started saying, I'm very proud of the customers who took part in this survey for us. And we had a good, really different group. Tommy Bahama, who's been a customer for over 20 years, took it. Some of our newer customers in the UK, the Bowling Group, who's a very diverse brand organization using us in their supply chain as well. So Computex out of Mexico, who's a manufacturer, using a productivity solution on the shop floor. We had a really good response from the community. We work with them for life, or at least that's the goal, to continue to prove ourselves with them, bring value to them. And to answer your original question, what is Blue Cherry? In a nutshell, it's really just a supply chain suite of software and technology, and not to minimize the people that we bring to bear to work with our customers to implement and enable that technology that really connects the entire supply chain side, from shop floor to showroom or concept to consumer, whichever kind of way you want to do it, from design to distribution. We kind of touch all of it. And our value proposition is to go very deep in the vertical. You know, we have, and again, I'm trying to get away from three-letter acronyms in the industry, but traditional ERP solutions, product lifecycle management solutions, warehousing solutions, those are all the things we do. But we put together in our latest releases of the versions really a platform that are all interconnected, very modularized, so people can join anywhere across our set of modules. If they want to start with our B2B solution and enable their sales team, they could do that. If they want to start with a manufacturing productivity solution and integrate into a different ERP, they can do that. Or if they want to start with our entire suite because it's all built on the same technology and database, it makes it much easier from an integration standpoint to build. So again, Blue Cherry is a suite of applications that handle the supply chain, but very vertically focused in the industry that we serve. So one, we can make purpose-built software to make it easier to implement, support, and it's built for the industry. And two is that we can bring together our employees and our community of partners who really dive deep into the industry. Different from some of these horizontal solution providers that try to be masters to all. We're very deep and very focused and eat, live, and breathe this industry. And I think that's what sets us apart from some of the others that are in the marketplace today.
That's amazing. That's so exciting. And I feel like it's so needed what you're doing and centralizing it all into one location, into one place, which is the most important, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing. And where can people find out more about Blue Cherry or, get more involved with it? Or yeah, what would you say, what platform?
Look, we've got a website at cgsinc.com where you can dig deep into that. You can always reach out to me directly, pmagle@cgsinc.com, if you want to hear any more of this. You may not after this conversations from me, but certainly reach out to me or anyone on our team. There's a lot of information out there. And I said we have a very robust community and they're very active. So also many of the customers speak to each other, but many prospects and other people in the marketplace also reach out and speak to our clients who really can speak intelligently about our solutions. We're a single source code solution, so everybody's on the same version of the software. So again, it's back to that enablement of the community to be able to help each other become less dependent on us and be more self-sufficient going forward.
Amazing. And I think one topic that's really actually, even again, when I was in Paris just last week, just kept coming up was digitalization and transparency, when it comes to textiles being used and different things throughout supply chain management. So how does having all of this under a centralized location such as Blue Cherry facilitate these goals for brands? I feel like a lot of brands are thinking about this right now more than ever.
Look, if you look at a study, I think it was well over 80% of the respondents put digitalization as kind of the top priority.
Yeah.
It's less about centralizing everything in one place, but it's having a platform that can reach out to anywhere your data is, anywhere your suppliers are, anywhere you're manufacturing, anywhere you have product, and knowing where it goes. So it's all about have a single platform that's open and using APIs and connectivity. We can bring all of that data then into a centralized database for reporting capabilities. ESG, and we can talk a little bit about that in a bit because it was very interesting what I saw in the study around ESG and what's really happening in reality. So it was interesting there. But for ESG standpoints, we talked about disruption. If something happens in the supply chain, if you know in real time where your goods are they still on the manufacturing floor? Are they in the water? Where they may be? It's much easier to react to those types of things as well. And just really putting it all together, tying it all together, and then looking at the analytics. And now we're starting to bring artificial intelligence into those analysis so we can start doing much more predicting going forward, again, to reduce risk, minimize disruptions, and keep things flowing smoothly in an efficient manner.
Amazing. And going back to ESG, then I'd love to hear a little bit about that. In terms of that and just like sustainability in general, in your report, like what did you see for 2024? Where do you see these conversations in these particular areas in the industry going?
What was really interesting in the study is that ESG and sustainability and all those the environmental, societal, and government regulations actually dropped like 3 different positions in importance, which I found interesting considering all the regulations coming out in pieces. But the way I interpret that data is it's less of a strategic initiative. I think if you go back 3, 4 years ago, everyone wanted to be sustainable because that's what they thought sold product. And now it's like it's just back office processing. It's they have to do it now, and it's gone from being a strategic, this is how I grow my business, to it's something I have to do, and it's more some people say table stakes, so it's I think it's dropped just because of that. I think the way the question was worded was around strategic type initiatives. I think it's gone from being less of a strategic initiative to more of just needed to do business. And the only way to do that is to connect those supply chains, because you're only as strong as your weakest link. And if you don't know the labor behind where the goods are being made, if you don't know the origins of where the materials came from in your raw materials, if you can't tie that together with a PO and a sales order, then it's hard to do those reporting and those regulations. That's going to cost money. We're actually starting to build out a separate and distinct ESG module that'll tie all of that together, have a reporting layer so we can report off of those things, an API layer so we can connect to anybody or anything so people can get data into the system, and allow people to report off of that, and then just have a forms builder so people can report it in whatever they need to, whether it's for government regulations, whether it's for consumer packaging or labeling.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, and it's funny because going back to, what's happening in Europe with legislations, which are very there are certain things now that brands are really starting to stress out because they have to put all of that into place. Where the US, we're still, not quite there, but it's going to come up for sure, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a huge challenge. And then how do you validate that data, right? Because
Yeah.
people are putting data in. How do we validate? Who's going to be responsible for validation? Who's going to the penalties? So, again, I think a lot of things also that were learned, and we saw some of it in the report as well, especially from the pandemic, is the relationship with your suppliers in your supply chain is key.
Yeah.
Some people, when the pandemic hit, they didn't treat all of their suppliers as best as they can. And I think to go forward, to be able to navigate, we need a much closer relationship across that supply chain. We need more of a shared risk, shared reward type model, so people are tied much closer together. And the only way you can digitize the entire supply chain if all of your partners are open and willing to give you access to that data.
Exactly.
So those relationships have to change going forward, have to be much more, I don't want to say codependent, but have a co-benefit going forward. It's the only way it's gonna work going forward.
Yeah, I agree. Amazing. So going back to our community, we do have obviously the enterprise, the mid-tier, but we also have a lot of startup and scale-up fashion brand founders in our ecosystem. Is it technology or CGS in general a good company for them to start interacting with, even if they're not at the point where maybe they could, fully use what it is that you offer? And if so, in what ways would you think that?
Look, I'm a little biased, but I always think it's good to interact with CGS if you're in the industries that we serve. But the reality is, as I talked about, we have a suite of modules across the supply chain, and we've had customers who have shipped their first order out of their basement on Bucherri and I remember the owner speaking to me, and she said, "Paul, I want to buy one system. I'm shipping my first order, but I'm going to grow, and I don't want to have to ever change systems again. I know that you'll be able to scale with me." So we're very modularized. Our B2B solution for the sales. Some people just deploy that module. It's very inexpensive. We've just released a very efficient cloud-based work in process tracking system. So manufacturers can just start tracking and reporting back to the retailers where the goods are on the manufacturing floor. So the size doesn't matter. But small companies, startup companies, they all have the same complexities as large customers. The retailers they're selling to have the same demands of a small company as they do a big company. The consumers you sell to require the same demands and the same information to buy from. So it's not so much about size of company. A lot of times we look at the company and the ability of their people to absorb technology. And that's really a better indication of who's a good prospect to work with us versus the size of the company, to make sure it's, they're willing to adopt to change being brought in. And they've got good people on staff who are able to absorb the technology and know how to deploy it within their business. And again, that's where our team comes in. Everyone who works for us grew up in the industry, whether they grew up on the other side of it or they grew up as a vendor to the industry. But everyone who comes to the table from CGS has years and years and multiple implementations under their belt and can bring best practices to the project in terms of how they deploy the technology. So it's a good it's a good partnership when we work with a client.
Amazing. I love the story, like starting out from her garage, the story you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And to just already start with this platform solution technology that she can grow with as the company evolves, which I think is great. And so speaking on technologies, what are some current key technologies that you feel are pivotal in terms of sustainability and moving forward in that area for brands?
So, specific to sustainability from a technology standpoint, one is just a platform that connects the supply chain. Because again, if you don't have the visibility to where things came from, how they were built, and you can't collect all of that data, it's hard to report on the sustainability side. So one is find a platform that's open that can connect those supply chains together and provides a layer of reporting that allows you to, put that information back into the regulations and the government, the consumers, wherever you need to go, or your other partners within your supply chain that you're actually moving goods to on that side. Artificial intelligence is coming very big across the supply chain as well. And certainly around sustainability as well. We just yesterday announced a partnership with an AI-based planning tool that we're going to take into this industry and drive it specifically around demand planning, replenishment, supply chain planning, but just AI really across the entire supply chain, just to help with the analysis of the data. Again, whether it's for a sustainability standpoint or just efficiency of supply chain, I think is key and important. And again, just the integration required to connect all those links of the chain is key. So from a technological standpoint, making sure whatever software you're bringing into the platform, or if you're evaluating the software you have today, are they open enough that you can then connect and communicate and exchange data across your different partners in that supply chain? So that's all key things to look at.
Yeah, I love that you brought up AI and how that, is being used as well, because I feel like it's a lot happening in that space, and sometimes companies don't really know how to navigate where it fits in. But what you just said is great.
Yeah, look, it's key, right? AI is new. It's moving very quickly. There's new people jumping in every day.
Yeah.
It's, people have to be experimenting with it and looking at it. At the end of the day, and we learned it all with business intelligence and analytics, it's all about the data.
Yeah.
So AI at the end of the day is analyzing data, and it's only as good as the data you give it and how you train those models. So, I always talk to my team about justifiable technology. I don't want to do technology for technology's sake. It's got to have a business reason. It's got to bring value to the customers, and it can't add risk. And it's got to scale. It's got to do a lot of things. So, we're looking very closely at how best to deploy AI without disrupting our customer, without, something in AI called hallucinations, where, responses come back and they're not quite true. And that's not good enough. You can't, you have to be true in terms of making sure the answers you're coming back are consistent and intelligent every time they come back. So AI is a big thing. It's going to make big changes in the industry, and we're just at the beginning. So we can't just jump into it for the sake of jumping into it. We need to know why, what problem are we solving, and is it bringing value to the customer interaction?
Love it. Very well said. Amazing. So what do you think are the biggest supply chain challenges? I was reading through, like we spoke a little bit about it in different questions that I've asked, but if you had to say like what in your mind they are more like, specific, and how does Blue Cherry assist in these different areas in which you see those pain points?
Yeah, look, well, some people may not think of it as a supply chain issue, very much as a supply chain issue. And I think it was the number one, I'll call it, challenge that came out of our study, which is just price and margin pressures, right? Just driving more cost down. We're seeing a big change where in the past people were kind of chasing the cheap needle, and they were moving and they're going to kind of the cheapest place. But because of ESG, because of some of the distance now and the disruptions, which is probably the second piece that people are looking at in supply chain, people are looking at nearshore manufacturing facilities and looking at the total cost, not just the unit cost. And then also just the importance of having the traceability and be able to react quickly when trends change or disruption change and those types of things. So again, by deploying a technology like Blue Cherry, that's a platform that's open and has the APIs and can connect those pieces, that can provide data to you in a way that allows you to find inefficiencies in that supply chain, allows you to provide data to your employees to be more efficient, to drive down your labor cost. Our manufacturing solution, we talk about a little bit in the case study, being able to give information on the sewing floor to make them more efficient, making them more accountable, and also being able to track where those goods came from, making sure they were in that manufacturing facility, were not subcontracted out. All at the end of the day will allow them to be a better partner to the retailers, to the brands, drive efficiencies and drive those cost and price pressures down. And again, it all comes back around data. The better you can share data, the better you can interpret data, the better partner you'll be, and the more you'll be able to drive those efficiencies and get that visibility that you need to be able to give to your consumers and your partners. And that's what Blue Cherry does. Ties that all together.
No, it's incredible. And I mean, you keep mentioning it, but the importance of data is like, that's the only thing really at the end of the day, right? That really matters for you to make the right.
Yeah, that's where it starts, because, I always say if we automate a broken process, it just breaks down that much faster. Same thing, you can apply the best technology, the best tools, the best AI. If the data is not clean and understandable, it just brings out bad results. So it's all about the data. And again, in many of our implementations, we're that system of record. And we built so much verification within our software. We make sure whatever's coming in, and even if you're coming in from external systems, we go through all of our validation routines to make sure that data stays clean. So there's only one version of the truth. And, it's very easy to report off of that and get that back out in a meaningful way.
Yeah, amazing. Well, honestly, like 30 minutes went by like this, and I've learned so much with you, like really the way that you've explained things. I know everyone watching this is going to be full of more questions, lead up questions, and want to engage. So anything final that you want to share, just any thoughts, anything that you want people to walk away from this with as like a main message?
Look, I think most important thing is myself and our entire team across the division and our company is very passionate about what we do. So if there are other questions that come out of this, other engagement, again, whether it's my email, through LinkedIn, we have a Blue Cherry page that people can sign up for. We do a lot of content out there, just thought leadership content, what we're seeing across the industry. We engage with hundreds of customers on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So we can share best practices, we can share what's worked and didn't, we can see what potentially is coming. So, get engaged and interact with us, if you have those kinds of questions. And again, if you're struggling with any kind of gaps or have any white space within your technology platform or in that digitization journey, speak to us, because we probably have a piece that we can find to plug in and close that gap for you. So
yeah. Amazing. Well, the passion definitely seeps through when you speak about what you guys do, so I can see that. And I feel like, community is something that you can also see that you're very focused on, and making sure that everybody, is a part of the conversation. And yeah, I've enjoyed this so much. So thank you so much for your time today.
no, thanks for making it easy. Enjoyed it as well.
Of course. All right. Bye.